My name is the Honorable Judge Roshanak Yabuki. I will go by Rishi today. That will make it easier. We're here to present the case of the estate of A.J. Maloney versus Teddy Mothersbaugh. Are both sets of counsel both here?
Yes, Your Honor. Plaintiff is here and ready to proceed.
Okay, the defense?
Yes, Your Honor, defense is ready to proceed.
Okay, please introduce yourself, counsel plaintiff.
Hello, Judge Rushi. My name is Zoe Haug, and these are my co-counsel.
Good afternoon. My name is Mitchell Leander.
Good afternoon. My name is Ittycheria Varma.
Together, we represent the plaintiff in today's case. The party representative is going to be Ms. Rajan right here for us. Hello, Jan. Would you like to hear introductions from the defense before we proceed with any housekeeping matters?
Yes.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. My name is Gabriel Franklin here. Today I'm joined by my co-counsel, Ms. Kubu Khan.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon.
Together, we represent the defendant, Teddy Mothersbaugh.
Good afternoon.
Your Honor, after plaintiff attends to their housekeeping matters, the defense is appealed.
Go ahead, counsel.
Yes, Your Honor. Now, since we've never been in your courtroom before, we'd like to ask your preferences for moving about the well, approaching opposing counsel, Your Honor, the witness. Do you prefer us to ask permission or just state it for the record?
I'll just state it for the record.
Yes, Your Honor. We move to invoke Rule 603, the constructive swearing in of all witnesses, as well as Rule 615, the constructive sequestration of all witnesses, of course, excluding any party representatives. Ms. Rajan is our party representative, and she will be seated with us throughout trial today.
So
Now, for Your Honor's context, today's case is a civil battery case about an incident that occurred on the night of July 20th of last year. This incident involved 3 individuals: the plaintiff, A.J. Maloney, the defendant, Teddy Mothersbaugh, and the defendant's partner, a journalist named Ali Uchida. We're pursuing a claim of battery against the defendant, alleging that their conduct was, in fact, the cause of A.J. Maloney's injuries and subsequent coma. If I could turn your attention to the stipulations in the binder that you've got in front of you, it should be just a few pages in. I believe about 9 is my estimate, but it's not quite to the tapped portion yet. We're going to start at stipulation 13. Let me know when you're there. Or actually stipulation 8.
Okay, go ahead.
Now, this just outlines a few objections for 2 witnesses that will be called today that we've agreed not to make. For the purposes of this trial specifically, both parties have agreed not to object to any relevance issues or 403 issues on Umi Darwish or Nova Stone. Next, if I could turn your attention to stipulation 13. And this just outlines a few exhibits that are already in evidence. I want to specifically draw your attention to exhibit 7, which is the weapon in today's case. That's been pre-admitted. On the same topic, if you could look down to stipulation 16, all that says is that before trial, both parties agreed that the injuries to A.J. Maloney that were sustained on July 20th of last year are in fact consistent with exhibit 7, once again, that weapon. And with that, we're ready to move forward to opening statements.
Thank you, counsel. Counsel for defendants, any housekeeping matters?
Plaintiff is taking care of most of them, just letting the court know for the record that Teddy Mothersbaugh is our party.
Sounds good.
We're ready to proceed.
Thank you very much. Counsel for the plaintiff, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, members of the jury. Today's case isn't about protection. It's about punishment. On July 20th of 2024, the defendant, Teddy Mothersbaugh, wasn't looking to protect anyone. Instead, he was waiting. He was waiting in an alley behind a local nightclub. He was waiting for A.J. Maloney. You see, that's for months. The defendant and his partner have been investigating that same nightclub, scouring for incriminating evidence the defendant's partner could write a story on. So when they couldn't find that evidence, when they couldn't find that story, they turned to AJ. You see, AJ is a bouncer at that same club, but more importantly, AJ is someone they believed had answers. And so what did the defendant do? Well, he harassed AJ. He threatened him, he pressured him to talk, and when that didn't work, he punished him with violence. You'll hear that violence is the reason that AJ isn't in court with us today, but instead comatose, fighting for his life in the hospital. That's why we're here today, bringing forth a suit of battery against the defendant on behalf of A.J. Maloney. And that means today, my co-counsel and I will show you that it's more likely than it is not, and that the defendant had an intent to harm AJ, that he acted on that intent, and that as a result of that act, AJ suffered offensive contact. All that means is that as you're listening to today's case, I want you to listen for the defendant's intent to attack AJ and what happened to AJ as a result of that attack. If you find it's more likely than not that AJ was harmed, you have to find him liable. Today, we expect the defense will tell you that this was heroic, that the defendant was stepping in to stop a crime, that the defendant was protecting someone. Unfortunately for them, the evidence tells a different story. Because this wasn't protection gone wrong, this was planned punishment. To show you that plan today, you'll hear from Emerson Rajan, the owner of the club where AJ worked. She'll tell you the defendant had been targeting her club for months, ambushing deliveries, threatening staff, sending violent messages, carrying a baton around intended to cause damage. She'll tell you that on July 20th, AJ was at the short end of that stick. That when the club owner exited the club that night, she found out AJ had been attacked by the defendant. You'll hear more about the defendant's intention from a direct eyewitness, Umi Darwish. He's an actor who was there the night of the attack. He'll tell you that Teddy and his partner worked together, that they discussed the plan, that the defendant hid his face, waited in the dark, and attacked. He'll also tell you that the defendant came back later to that scene, looking for a mask he left behind, a mask he wore to conceal his identity. That's because this wasn't protection, it wasn't a mistake, it was calculated, it was violent, and it was a desperate attempt to force AJ to talk. And so when AJ tried to protect his place of work, he was punished. Today's case isn't about a vigilante protecting someone, it's about a man who thought he was above the law. A man who used force when fear didn't work. A man who punished AJ Maloney for staying silent. That's why at the end of today's trial, we're confident that you'll hold the defendant liable. Thank you.
Counsel for the defendant, whenever you're ready.
When you get hit, you fight back. It's July 20th, 2024. And journalist Ali Uchida is investigating an alleged drug trafficking ring at the Hellfire Lounge. You'll learn that that Hellfire Lounge was owned by the plaintiff, Emerson Rajan. That Mr. Rajan wasn't too keen on this journalist's prying eye. You'll learn that on July 20th, Mr. Rajan's drug-fueled bodyguard, AJ Maloney, chased that journalist out of the bar, tackled that journalist on the ground, reached for a baton laying in the alley, raised it up high, ready to strike. But then that journalist was saved. She was saved by Tower City's own local vigilante, Teddy Mothersbaugh, known here as the Serpent. You'll learn that Mr. Mothersbaugh pushed AJ Maloney off of that journalist. You'll learn that Mr. Maloney went to fight Mr. Mothersbaugh, and like any reasonable person, he fought back. When you get hit, you fight back. Good afternoon. My name is Gabriel Frank McPheeter, and I, along with my co-counsel, represent Teddy Mothersbaugh. Today, we're here because the plaintiff is accusing Mr. Mothersbaugh of attacking AJ Maloney. But members of the jury, the law says that it's okay to fight back. It's what's called an affirmative defense, in this case, defense of another. All that means is that we'll have to show you three things. First, that there was an imminent danger to that journalist. Second, that Teddy Mothersbaugh had a reasonable belief that that journalist was going to be harmed. And finally, that Teddy Mothersbaugh's use of force was proportional to that danger. We'll have to prove those elements by a preponderance of the evidence, or more likely than not. And here's how we'll do it. First, there was an imminent danger to that journalist. Today, you'll hear from an eyewitness and regular patron of the Hellfire Lounge, Nova Stone. Miss Stone will tell you that on the night of July 20th, she saw AJ Maloney chase that journalist in the nightclub, swing his fist at the back of her head and scream, "I'll make sure you never investigate again." Second, Mr. Mothersbaugh had a reasonable belief that that journalist was going to be harmed. Today, Mr. Mothersbaugh will take the stand himself and tell you that in the weeks leading up to that night, he and his partner, the journalist who AJ Maloney attacked, Ittycheria, well, they were investigating the Hellfire. He'll tell you that over the course of that investigation, he learned that Emerson Rajan, the plaintiff, and his bodyguards were dangerous. It'll tell you that Mr. Rajan flashed a gun at him. It'll tell you that he saw AJ Maloney taking a special drug at that club. Now, when he did, Mr. Maloney would become aggressive. He'd knock people out with one punch. Third, Mr. Mothersbaugh's use of force was proportional to that. Mr. Mothersbaugh will take the stand and tell you how he had to struggle, to fight, to get that baton from AJ Maloney. Tell you that AJ Maloney was standing ready to strike, and that even after Mr. Mothersbaugh disarmed him, Mr. Maloney kept punching. You learned that night, if Mr. Maloney didn't use that baton, or if Mr. Mothersbaugh didn't use that baton, Mr. Maloney would. Look, what happened to AJ Maloney, him getting that hurt, it's terrible. It's terrible that anybody got hurt. But folks, when you get hit, you fight back. That's why at the end of today's trial, I'll ask you to fight back against the plaintiff's false accusations. Find Mr. Mothersbaugh not wrong. Thank you.
Thanks. Are you ready to prepare your speaking?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. At this time, the plaintiff calls Umi Darwish to the stand. Your Honor. Good afternoon, sir. Do you mind introducing yourself to the members of the jury?
Of course. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. My name is Umi Darwish.
And what do you do for a living, Mr. Darwish?
I'm an actor. Yeah, that's right. That's right. You might recognize me from the old Indiana Jones movie. I was the one that pointed the gun at Harrison Ford and said, "Put your hands in the air, Buster. You're a long way from home." And it was great. You know, I learned the American accent, got shot several times. Yeah, it was the best time I've ever had.
So, sir, are you still on the big screen?
No. No, see, as amazing as that year was for me, it was also extremely ironic. The year was 1981, and I had just given the best cameo of my life. The best 15 seconds that the screen had ever seen in the whole wide world. So naturally, I knew I was going to win the Oscar. But that's when I learned the truth. is the Oscars are a scam. They didn't even nominate me that year, and you know who wins instead? Robert De Niro for Raging Bull. Are you serious? Like really, is he better than me? No, no, Habibi. I knew what was up, so I quit the industry that day. I said that the committee wasn't going to win, and then I was going to win the people's heart. So I joined street football.
Sir, how's the street performing been going?
Honestly, not much better. Turns out maybe the Oscars were right. Yeah, people didn't like me too much, so you know anyone in contact with the Oscar committee, let them know I'm sorry. I'll go back for free.
All right, so let's move away from your career and talk about why you're here today.
Sure. I was at the Hellfire Club, you know, the night of July 20th when the serpent attacked the Fort Mountain. I'm just here to share what I know.
Mr. Darwish, let's jump straight in. Why were you at the Hellfire Club that night?
It's where I would. Street performance, you know, you have to be talented. I'm missing the talent part of that whole thing, so I prefer performing to a drunk audience because they tend to be a little easier to please and they usually can't change too. So good tips.
Sir, when do you normally work?
Usually from 3 p.m. in the afternoon all the way to 2 a.m. in the night.
Why so early?
My wife, you know, she tells me that it's good to get out earlier and work long hours to get experience. Usually it's great, you know, to have such a supporting woman in your life telling you the best things to do to improve your career. But honestly, I'm just a little bit scared of her too, so I don't say no. So I work every day from 3 p.m. 2 a.m. Monday to Sunday.
So were you at the club by 3 p.m. the night of July 20th?
No. The night of July 20th, I came out a little later. I'd stopped by originally to get some props for the new tricks that I was trying to do. So I only made it to the club at around 5 p.m.
When you got there,
Objection, Your Honor, lack of foundation, may I be heard?
But
Your Honor, we just need to hear a little bit more foundation as to how this witness can testify to the specific time that he arrived at the club that night.
a response, Your Honor,
go ahead.
I believe it's rationally based on the witness's perception for him to testify to the fact that he got at the club that night at 5 p.m. Especially if we've established the fact that he normally gets there at 3 p.m. In this day was an exception. I don't think that any additional foundation needs to be laid.
Brief response, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Your Honor, we understand that this witness under Rule 701 can testify to anything rationally based within his perception, like the fact that he arrived at the club in the morning versus the afternoon. But using a specific time, like 3 p.m. versus 5 p.m., requires a little bit more foundation.
I'm gonna overrule the objection, but thank you both.
Yes, Your Honor. Sir, I'll ask my question again. Were you at the club by 3 p.m. the night of July 20th?
No, I got to it around 5.
Sir, when you got there, who else was at the club?
There were a couple of big people that came later in the night. You know, at first the club was usually empty, so it gave me time to prep. But as the crowd pulled in, I saw a couple of the regulars, a couple of the employees. And then I saw her. Shakira. She was at the club that night. It was amazing. You know, and I thought maybe at first it was just a lookalike, but and then I saw Ali Ittycheria and Teddy Mothersbaugh follow after. So I had figured that it might have been the real deal.
Sir, let's take a step back. Who were Ali Ittycheria and Teddy Mothersbaugh?
Oh, of course. Ali Ittycheria and Teddy Mothersbaugh, they're journalists. So when I saw them walk into the club, you know, I thought maybe it was really Shakira. They've been working on covering a lot of different stories, both on the entertainment side, but also local crime here in the city.
Sir, what were they doing?
Well, at first I thought they were going to follow in Shakira to the club, but they actually ended up going to the back, to the side of a nearby alley, right to the side of the club. And then they spent some time there talking.
Did you hear what they said?
Little bits and pieces of it. It sounded like they were talking about some sort of plan. Ali looked at Teddy and said, "You should be right here, and don't make it too messy." And Teddy was just nodding along the whole time.
Sir, what happened next?
Well, shortly after they stood up, Ali went back inside to the club, but Teddy, he stayed at the alley and he got on his phone, started taking a phone call.
Did you hear it?
Yes, it was extremely short. He gets on the phone and says, "Get my suit ready." It was weird, but he was already wearing a suit. And then shortly after that, I see a black car come, and he gets into the car, and then the car drives off.
Sir, did you see Teddy again after that?
No, I didn't see Teddy for the rest of the night. But I saw that black car again. It came back a little later, maybe about an hour later. It stopped at the same spot. And then, out of the black car, I see the serpent walk out. There's a vigilante here in Morodo. He comes running right out of the car.
Sir, what happened when you saw that exact same black car for a second time?
A lot of things. Perhaps the most chaotic 10 minutes of my life, and here's why. The black car comes, parks up, I see the serpent walk out. At the same time, Shakira walks out of the club, so I know this is my chance to make the autograph happen. But as I'm approaching Shakira, she came,
Who came?
my wife. And that's not good, because she gets really jealous, so she thinks I'm walking towards Shakira. I get scared, I kick over my tips, I'm collecting my money, she's yelling at me, it's a big public scene. And then I start hearing weird sounds coming from the alley that the serpent had run into, screaming, shouting. I had no idea what was happening. It was the most chaotic thing ever.
Sir, did you have a chance to see what was actually happening in the alley?
Yes, only after though, not before. I collected my tips, begged for my wife to just let me go for 2 minutes. I told her that I'd make dinner that night, and that seemed to calm her down a little bit. And then I ran towards the alley.
How come you got there?
Well, I thought I'd be able to see the serpent, find him. But he actually ended up finding me. Instead, he runs out of the alley and then out into the street. I thought about chasing him, but that's when I actually recognized that there were 2 other people still in that alley. So I decided to go inside and see what it was about.
When you got there, did you see what happened?
I did. There were 2 people on the ground. There was Ali Uchida. And then there was another person too. They had a name tag. It said AJ Maloney, but this person, it looked horrible. They were bleeding, they were in a puddle of their blood, and in their head they had a big mark.
What happened next?
I tried seeing if there was something that I could do, someone to help. I think someone else might have seen it. Some ambulances came after, and as we were trying to organize and fix everything, that's when I realized that the serpent's mask, it was right next to AJ Malone.
What happened to it?
A little bit later, maybe a week or so, Teddy Mother's walking. He asked me if I'd seen a mask, so I told him about it. And then I gave it. I haven't seen it since.
Thank you, sir. No further questions this time, Your Honor.
What room is this then?
1347.
Cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor. May I proceed? Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing?
Great, how are you?
Doing well, thank you. I want to start by talking about why you're here today.
Sure.
Now, you told us on direct examination that you know that this case is about an attack that happened on July 20th of 2020.
That's right.
Sir, you're testifying for the plaintiff. Did I get that right?
That's how I understand it, yes.
But Mr. Darvish, it wasn't exactly your idea to testify today, was it?
Not at first, no. I was approached by Mr. John. She asked me if I knew anything, and then I told her what I knew. And then she said I should come.
That's right, sir. It was Emerson Rajan's idea for you to testify today.
That's right. After I told her what I knew, she said that it'd be a good idea to come and share it to everyone.
Sir, let's talk about why that matters. You were working outside the club on the night of the attack, right?
That's right. It where I've been ever since I left the base.
And you knew that Miss Rajan was there that night.
Of course.
Now, Miss Rajan, she's actually a good friend of yours.
Yeah, she's let me work at the front of the street ever since I first moved around, so. And actually, I've gotten to see her and we've chatted up. It's been nice getting to know her.
That's right, Mr. Darwish. Miss Rajan has let you work outside the Hellfire Club for a long time, right?
Yes, that's exactly right.
Sir, you certainly wouldn't want to be on her bad side, would you?
No, it's not great to make enemies. I already have a ton in the industry. I'm trying to start fresh.
So when your good friend, someone you wouldn't want to disappoint, asks you for a favor, asks you to testify on behalf of the plaintiff, well, you couldn't say no, could you?
Yeah, I think it would be fine. I'd seen a couple of different things, so it made sense.
But sir, the truth is, this wasn't really a difficult task for you, was it?
What do you mean? Like coming here, the traffic was pretty bad, but other than that, it would be okay.
Well, Mr. Darvish, it's not just the traffic, you actually don't really like the defendant.
That's true also, yes.
Let's talk about why, sir. The two of you actually have a history together, don't you?
That's right. I do know Teddy Mother.
You actually used to work for the cops as a confidential informant, did I get that right?
That's right. You know, after I left the big screen, I thought maybe a change of career would work out. I had some experience doing detective shows, so I thought that maybe it'd be the same thing. Not quite the same. Teddy definitely did make it easier.
That's right, sir. You believe that Mr. Mothersbaugh actually worked with a reporter to expose that, what you were doing to the public, right?
They did, yes.
And so, because of the defendant's actions, you had some trouble with your finances, haven't you?
That's right. Street performances, they don't take too long.
Sir, because of the defendant's actions, you believe that you've gotten fewer tips for your performances.
Once I was revealed to be an informant, people definitely started tipping me that.
Sir, continue, sir.
No, it's okay.
Sir, you had trouble keeping the lights on in your house.
That's right. Between my electricity bill and the fact that I don't know how to screw a light bulb on, it was pretty tough.
Because of the defendant's actions, you believe that the community lost faith in you, right?
Yes,
So with that in mind, let's be clear about exactly what you can and can't tell us about who is to blame for this incident.
so
Sir, like you told us on direct examination, the night of the 20th, it's safe to say you were a bit distracted, right?
Shakira, the beauty, oh my god, definitely was at first.
That's right, sir. Shakira and your wife were both at the club, right?
He's also beautiful, don't tell her I said anything, please.
Sir, you told us that you were outside in the alley, right?
Yes,
You heard some thuds, some noises,
that's right.
but then Shakira showed up, right?
At the same time, yes,
And then you dropped all of your tips onto the ground.
it was like I was tripping over and falling in love, and then reality hit, my wife came in. And then I started going crazy with the money all over.
Sir, you said on direct examination it was the most chaotic thing ever, right?
It was, yes,
Safe to say you were pretty distracted, right?
of course, yes,
For almost 10 minutes, right, sir?
that's right.
So to be clear here, Mr. Darwish, you didn't see that attack happen, did you?
No, I never saw the attack as it happened. I only went after to see what happened after.
Sir, you can't tell us who threw the first punch that night, can you?
No, I didn't see anyone throw the punch. When I got there, it was, the fight was already over.
Mr. Darwish, you can't tell us whether it was Ali Yoshida who was attacked that night, can you?
I don't know. All I know is both Ali Uchida and AJ Maloney who were hurt, but AJ's injuries, they were far worse.
That's right, Mr. Darwish. The truth is, by the time you got there, that fight was over, right?
And that's exactly right. I wish I could have gone a little sooner, but by the time I'd gone there, the fight was already over. The only thing I'd seen was the serpent running away from Zatan.
Thank you, sir. Your Honor, I have nothing further.
Thank you very much. Any of you directors?
No, Your Honor, we just asked that the witness be excused.
Yes, thank you, sir. The next witness? That for the defense?
Yes, Your Honor. The defense calls Noah Stone to the stand.
Go.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Could you please introduce yourself to the members of the jury?
Of course. Hello, my name is Nova Stone.
Ms. Stone, what do you do for a living?
By day, I work as a librarian over at the Precious Souls Elementary School.
What made you want to become a librarian?
Well, you know, I've always had a wild imagination. Well, I grew up loving books and I even majored in creative writing in college. So when the position opened up at Precious Soul, that seemed like the perfect opportunity.
You mentioned that you're a librarian by day. Do you do something else by night?
Well, after my reading story time is over, let's just say I put my performance skills to a different use.
What do you mean?
By 10 a.m., I'm normally telling my kiddos to use their inside voice and await their turn. By 10 p.m., I'm drawing it like it's hot.
Ma'am, what?
As much as I love those kiddos, grade school salaries just aren't what they used to be. And dancing started as a creative endeavor during my dissertation days, but now it pays the bills. And it's not that much different, you know, like in school, I work with the alphabet a lot, the ABCs, and with the club, it's LSD, it's THC, it's special K, Breezy D, medium giants, and
Please. Ma'am, you said that you're a dancer. Where do you work most nights?
currently I'm based at the Hellfire Lounge over on Easton Street. Next time you're there, ask the questions.
Were you at Hellfire on July 20, 2024?
I was. It breaks my heart to think about what happened to that bouncer AJ that day. I knew him very well.
I want to start by talking about how that day went. How did it start?
So it was a crazy day over with my second graders, you know. Long story short, it was an incident, and it ended with Tommy M throwing the class hamster at Tommy F's head. I needed a break.
When did you arrive at Hellfire?
A little later in the evening, probably after it.
Was it busy that night?
Oh, yes, there were so many regulars just lined up across the block. But for example, I actually saw Tommy M's dad chime it up with one of the bartenders who certainly didn't look a lot like Tommy M's dad, which probably explains why Tommy M took a little too long in the waiting room during the parent-teacher conference. We've all been there.
Ma'am, the regulars you mentioned, were they all inside the club?
They were. Not all of them, but Ali and Teddy Ann were actually outside the club waiting in line by the aisle.
Did you overhear any conversations between Ali, you, and Teddy M?
Not specifically, no, but I did see that bouncer, AJ, running across the screen.
Did you happen to hear what the bouncer, AJ Maloney, said?
Yes, he was very loud and angry. He said, "I'll make sure you never investigate a thing again." I don't know what's going to come to, but use our inside voices in this establishment.
Ma'am, I want to talk about what Mr. Maloney may have been referring to. Do you know whether anything illegal was happening at the club that night?
Yes.
Ma'am, what?
So while I was on the floor, practicing this new that I like to call the crisscross analysis. And let's just say I took a little bit of tumble, and I ended up more crossed than Chris, and I bumped right into that bouncer AJ, who's one of the people I've known to do a bump or two of his own.
What do you mean a bump of their own?
Drugs.
I'm approaching opposing counsel and Ms. Stone with the drugs exhibiting.
You're right.
Ma'am, what did I just hand you?
The drugs.
Can you be a little bit more specific?
They call this headless. I've never touched it. But I'm way above that. So, you know, I've seen other patrons use it. It's some pretty crazy stuff.
Defense offers exhibit.
Without objection, Your Honor, we might just ask for a little bit more foundation for how this witness knows that this is called Hellfire dust. I think that foundation, it's lacking a little bit.
I would agree. Especially if you haven't opened the bag or anything, you smell it.
Ma'am, how do you know that this is Hellfire dust?
It looks exactly like a substance that all of the patrons use over. Now, I may not touch it, but a lot of those patrons do a lot more than touch
Defense reoffers exhibit.
it. And I do. Of course. The precedent is very strong.
Any other objections?
Yes, Your Honor, at this time, I would again object to lack of foundation. We believe that even though the substance might look similar to some other things she's seen at the club, there's insufficient foundation for how she knows that this is that particular drug.
Although I agree, you'll have every opportunity to question that during cross.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'll let you do it.
Permission to publish the jury? Thank you, ma'am. Now, you said that you don't use drugs like this, but have you taken any other substances while working at Hellfire?
Sort of. You know, I certainly can't do my special tricks without the little help of a very hungry cabin builder cocktail.
Did you have one of those cocktails on July 20th?
Yes, I had a few drinks.
Ma'am, did you say that that affected your ability to remember what happened that night at all?
No, I'm very proud to say that I built up quite a tolerance. Now, it used to be the a green eggs in hand would knock me right off, but now it doesn't even hit me as much as a glass of green. I know my limits.
Then I want to talk about what happened after you stopped drinking that night. And then you mentioned that you'd seen AJ Malone earlier in the night. Did you ever run into him again?
Yes, I did.
Where was that?
It was right outside of the club, towards the corner of the entrance.
What was Mr. Maloney doing?
It's horrifying. I saw AJ throw a punch right at Ali's head. You know, we keep our hands to ourselves in this club, and so I thought that was awful. And, you know, it sounded so scary. I don't know what I would have done if I was in that position.
Thank you, Ms. Young. Your Honor, I have nothing further.
Self-examination.
Yes, Your Honor. May I proceed, Your Honor?
Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Ms. Stone.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm doing well, ma'am. I want to talk a little bit about something you mentioned on direct examination, okay? You told the members of the jury that you had a few drinks that night, right?
I did.
Ma'am, not enough to impair what you saw, though, true?
Absolutely not.
I want to talk about how much you actually drank. Because, ma'am, when you first got to the club, the very first thing you did was rush to the bar.
I had a goal.
Ma'am, you ordered a few drinks.
I did.
You went to the bathroom, came back to the bar again,
That's right.
had a few more drinks.
That's right. Like I said, I really need that little encouragement like this.
And then once you finished those drinks, you ordered a few more shots, right?
I did.
In total that night, you had 8 drinks, true?
That's right. It sounds like a lot, but after you've drunk one too many of those muddy water concoctions that the second graders will put out on the playground, you get used to drinking weird things.
Ma'am, we're not talking about 8 drinks in the span of 3 or 4 hours, are we?
No, it was over the course of that night.
Ma'am, you had 8 drinks in an hour and a half, didn't you?
That's right. The amount of time I was at the club.
Ma'am, I want to talk about how much you can actually remember when you have 8 drinks in an hour and a half, okay?
Spoiler alert, it's a lot.
And ma'am, on direct examination, you told us that from across the bar, you saw AJ throwing a punch at Ali, right?
That's right.
You told us that you heard him yelling threats at Ali, right?
He did.
But ma'am, I want to be clear, you didn't testify to this a day after it happened, did you?
No, it's been a whole year.
And ma'am, that's right, it's been an entire year since you first testified that you saw this, right?
One whole school year later and a much needed summer break.
And ma'am, that night, you actually got into a fight, didn't you?
I'm ashamed to say, you know, as a teacher, I would preach positivity, but it's really big and negative Nancy that night. Long story short, someone spilled a drink on my shoes and I really predictive about my shoes.
And ma'am, after that happened, your memory got a little bit fuzzy, didn't it?
I did leave the club shortly after that.
And ma'am, you left the club to go to the hospital because of how bad your head was, isn't that true, ma'am?
That's right. There had been a little altercation, so I just wanted to make sure I was good for, you know, attendance on Monday.
And ma'am, so you left the bar, went to the hospital to get your head checked, and you're telling us that you remember that AJ was yelling at Ally?
Absolutely. I was fine at the hospital. Everything was okay.
And ma'am, let's talk about why you might be saying that. Like you mentioned on direct examination, you're actually a dancer, aren't
I am.
you? Ma'am, you like being a dancer? And you know that this is a big trial, isn't it?
There's been about people here, sure.
And ma'am, I'm not talking about the people in this courtroom, I'm talking about the people in this city, in this town. You know that everybody's watching, aren't they?
Objection, Your Honor, speculation. This question clearly calls for this witness to speculate as to how many people are watching outside this courtroom.
Response, Your Honor? If this is cross-examination, if the witness doesn't know the answer to the question, she would say it.
Anything further?
Your Honor, we still believe that this question explicitly asks this witness to speculate. Opposing counsel asked Ms. Stone whether everyone outside of this courtroom is watching this trial. The question calls for speculation, it's admissible.
Although I do kind of feel where you're trying to go, your objection is overruled. So
Ma'am, I'll ask you again. You know that a lot of people in Morado, they're watching this trial, aren't they?
Probably the biggest story time I've ever done.
And ma'am, it would benefit you if you got good publicity, right?
Well, sure. You know that Miss Rachel on TikTok who does the little ABC songs? I would love to do something like that.
Ma'am, you're excited because you think that if this trial goes well for you, you'll get a lot of publicity. Isn't that true?
Sure.
So ma'am, you're testifying here today voluntarily, right?
I just have some important things, why not?
Thank you, ma'am. Nothing further, Your Honor.
No, redirect, Your Honor, I just asked Ms. Stone to be allowed to step down.
thank you, Ms. Stone.
So we can take like a 15 to 20 minute break, so I'll keep a timer,
You want.
just anywhere between then, we can do
Party side.
20.
50 would be great, Your Honor.
We're amenable to whatever.
Okay, so it's 4:58, so. 38. Let's just come back to 4:35,
4:45.
4:45.
Yeah. And so. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I'm just like, chills. But I did the long topic.
I'm okay.
So what year are you in?
I'm going to my second year.
You had all the fun stuff.
Yeah.
You learned everything you ever gonna learn out of law school, man.
I imagine, we'll have some specialty classes I may take later, but.
You need bars. Walking down the street. But we go at reading markets. And looking in the window, reading markets. And the car jumps at her. Puts you in the light and breaks it. You have a case, it's collaborative.
I think so, I need a lot more tracks probably.
But the rest is like. You look at every part of it, if you remember this. Yeah. You know, that you really think you have a fire jump at her, if any reason why the car jumps at her.
Yeah, we need it.
What?
We need it.
You haven't gave me all the. I didn't should start with that. I had no idea. I was driving against it. He was shot them all. He's pulled by a random killer. Maybe someone had an accident. Took the car out of the repair shop. They were supposed to fix the brakes and the brakes are not working. The kid picked up across the street.
Yeah.
So if you remember that, you know, issues are. This happened, yes, this happened, another, and then yes, this happened, no. There's a number of variables, and that's the way it is. Just kind of keep that in mind. That what I do, you know nothing. Right? You know nothing. And they really have to teach you that in this.
No, they do teach an absolute fluent.
They do. Number of four bases. Something about four bases. Some liability is required. So it's a good, you keep that in mind there. Very good. And the other side of no defensive game. You know what? This I think it's not really the only secrets. See one? So it's Facebook.
What kind of laws do you have?
I just, this was for the ready.
Do you go to trial a lot?
Yeah, you know. PI lawyers, especially. Business litigation. Well, you know, get settled, but I do a lot of arbitration. You know what FINRA is? That might have. It used to be called the NASD, the National Association of Security. These are arbitration from all the stuff. It's a customer who buys money and it's doing the stock brokerage for the company. The suits today, if we are a brokerage for an individual broker. In the terms of any case, I'm not building an office that has to say that I'm seeing. No, not all. You gotta go to my.
But yeah, it's lost the, okay. Yeah, I've heard I've noticed that. Yeah, my super was early on his career, he was civil rights lawyer and then he was actually under 2 years. Experience. I was gonna say like. Oh. Wow. Yeah, especially all of my classmates want to be public. I don't know, I took criminal law, I'm not sure if that's for me. Might be more of a civil litigator thing. Yeah. Yeah. Never seen them.
Go on, find some of the challenges.
Okay.
Yeah. If you remember this lump called Army and POLD of the baby.
Okay, I need to write that down.
Full of the baby.
Scrumful.
IUMPOLD of the baby. That's why. They learn so much. Examination with the system. From that show, John Miller, his daughter is trained that's bad of the much of the they are here. Actual question.
You know.
My practice is right? Hopefully, maybe,
Okay.
depending on if it's student exams. I don't know the official. Yeah, I know we have. Yeah, I think we need to email, because I've been trying to put in all those tournaments. I can work with all of them. How much we do that, like, this is.
Yeah.
So we did 2 things.
Where to? We don't even have.
Oh. We host.
We offer it now.
They don't want to play.
guys can meet 2 years ago.
Yeah, come play, come play.
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah, that's why we don't have that one. If you can believe. You know what?
What do you guys have?
Do you have any more?
Yeah, I do have spare money.
What do you would dance?
I saw you posting messages. Put that in
We're practicing what we preach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was like, Davis, I was at.
Oh.
And I was in the board and we finished in the last year.
Are you still?
Yeah, I tried to, so, yeah. Not fully.
Maybe see the thing. Yeah, the party's ready to begin.
Yes, Your Honor, the plaintiff is back and ready to proceed.
Francis here, ready to proceed, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor, the plaintiff calls Emerson Rajan to the stand. Please introduce yourself to the court.
Hi there, my name is Emerson Rajan.
What do you do for a living, Ms. Rajan?
I'm the majority shareholder of the Rajan Corporation. I also am involved in several other business ventures.
Would one of those business ventures be the Hellfire Lounge?
It is. The Hellfire Lounge is a passion project of mine. Back during the pandemic, it was gonna close down. I mean, this thing, it had been around for decades. Everybody celebrated their 21st birthday there. I mean, the institution of it all, I couldn't stand to see it go. So I purchased it.
And what's that club like now that you own it?
I like to think that I brought it into the modern era. And it's gotten kind of shabby after a while. So, I outfitted it with all the latest audio, technical gear. I renovated the bar and the seating area. I kept the old light up dance floor. It was a crowd favorite, but I made sure it was completely safe, no slipping and falling.
I want to turn your attention to this trial. Is AJ Maloney one of your employees at the Hellfire Lounge?
Yes, AJ, he started out as a bouncer, but after a while he started working for me as one of my bodyguards. Two of us, we spent a lot of time together, I told him about my family, he told him about his. The two of us, we both lost our mothers. And he was really close to me.
I want to shift gears for a second. Do you know the defendant, Teddy Mothersbaugh?
Yes, I do know Teddy. I used to say we run in the same circles, but that's not so true anymore. His family also owns a major corporation in Taylor City, but I'm not seeing him at board meetings as much anymore.
Do you ever see the defendant?
Sometimes, although he's not exactly himself.
What do you mean by that?
Well, over the last couple of years, he's taken to what he calls vigilante justice. He dresses up in some green morph suit, carries around a little baton, and tries to fight crime.
What do you mean by vigilante justice?
I mean, he attacks people that he suspects are criminals. He breaks into buildings to investigate. I mean, the police, right? They have a code of conduct that they're supposed to follow. There's no rules for people taking the law into their own hands.
You mentioned that you had seen the defendant recently. What were they doing when you saw them?
Well, they had been targeting Hellfire for a while.
What do you mean targeting Hellfire?
I mean, ambushing our deliveries, threatening my employees, threatening me. I mean, I couldn't keep a bartender up. Every time we got a package of liquor, we opened it up, it was all broken, with notes talking about rotten hell.
You mentioned that your club is run through legitimate means. Now, have you ever been in trouble with the law?
I actually have. Though now I have my act straight. About a decade ago, when I was newer to the business world, I kind of let go of the reins. You know, I let other people run things for me. We were making money hand over fist. You know, I thought I just had a really good CPA. When the RICO charges came up, I was honestly shocked. But I understood, you know, I wasn't paying as much attention as I should have been. And it was my responsibility to keep track of that. So I did my time, I served it, and now that's over, new chapter.
Well, now that that's over, are you aware of anyone except for the defendant targeting or investigating your club for any reason?
Yes. Teddy's partner, Ittycheria, she's a journalist. She had been snooping around, I'm sure trying to figure out this whole rumor thing. People are always talking about, you know, drugs coming through clubs. You know, nightclubs, people think they're shady. Really, sometimes people just want to dance and drink and have fun.
Has anyone ever gone to the police about your club that you know of?
Yeah, but it wasn't Teddy, and it wasn't Allie either. It was actually AJ.
Is that the same AJ as AJ Maloney?
It is. That one definitely stung. But the police chief explained that AJ's little sister, she had gotten into some trouble. She was holding on to drugs, and he offered up something on me to get her out of jail.
Did you ever talk to AJ about the fact that they, as one of your employees, had gone to the police about your club?
I planned on it, but I didn't get the chance to.
What happened?
Well, it was July 20th, and I was working at the club, doing managerial things, and I saw Ittycheria snooping around.
Do you know what Ittycheria was doing?
I'm sure she thought she was just investigating, but what I saw was her bothering my customers, scaring my employees. I mean, normally I would have just left it alone. But after everything, after AJ, I guess I lost my temper.
Do you have any reason to believe that AJ Maloney was working with Ittycheria or the defendant?
Yeah. After talking to the police, things started coming together. The police chief mentioned Teddy's name, and I started thinking of all the times that Allie and Teddy were hanging around the bar, talking to my employees, more often talking to AJ.
Do you know what they were talking to AJ about?
I'm not exactly sure. A lot of times it was questions about the club, about drugs, all these rumors that fly around.
I want to move to July 20th. And you tell us what happened that night.
I can't. When Allie was there, she was going around, talking to my employees, talking to people, and I guess I lost my temper. I let something slip that probably should have been kept under wraps.
What did you let slip?
I saw Allie ordering a drink, and so I walked over to Frank, our bartender, and mentioned that I knew AJ had gone to the police.
Why did you do that?
Allie's a journalist, right? I figured if she heard that her story was gonna get blown open, that she'd stop messing around with AJ, that I could sit him down and talk to him and tell him, you know, these people, they just want attention. They don't want justice. If they want justice, they would have gone to the police, but I don't know. I guess I struck a nerve with Allie. I saw her walking over to talk to AJ.
Do you know what happened next?
I'm not sure what happened. 1 second, I'm watching her walk towards the back door to meet with AJ, and The next, I hear that her and AJ and Teddy are all trying to kill each other in the alley by my bar.
Do you know what came of that altercation?
AJ ended up in a coma. The two of them, they were a little bit beat up.
What about AJ Maloney?
He's in the hospital because he's in a coma and because he doesn't have much family. I was made administrator of his estate. So I started asking questions, of the doctors, or the people around, the attorneys, what should I do?
Did you talk to Umi Darwish?
I did. I talked to everybody who was around the bar that night. Umi, like you heard earlier, he saw Allie and Teddy in that alley making some kind of plan.
Did you ever talk to Nova Stone?
I tried. But that girl, every time I saw her at the bar, she's dancing around as drunk as a skunk. I mean, I couldn't get any information out of her.
What did you decide to do after talking to all those people?
After all that, talking to you guys, my attorney, we figured out the best thing to do would be to bring this suit against Teddy.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you. Your cross.
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Ms. Rajan.
Hi.
I want to start by talking about what you didn't see on the night of July 20th.
Okay.
Because, well, you told us earlier that night, well, Allie Uchida, AJ Maloney, Teddy Mothersbaugh, they got into a fight, right?
Yes, they got into a fight in the alley next to the bar.
Right, and you were inside the lounge when that happened, right?
Yes, I didn't go outside until after the fight was over.
So, ma'am, because you didn't go outside until after the fight was over, you can't tell us who threw the first one.
No. When we were inside, all I saw was Allie going over to talk to AJ. I didn't see any kind of altercation between them.
Right, all you saw was the aftermath of that altercation.
The before and the after.
Well, in that aftermath, you saw Allie Uchida unconscious on the ground.
Both of them. At that point, Allie and AJ were unconscious and Teddy wasn't there.
Ma'am, I want to talk about whether you might have had a reason to want Allie Uchida attacked. Ma'am, like you told us earlier, you know Allie Uchida is a journalist.
Yes, I know she's a journalist. To your other point, I would not want her attacked.
And let's get there. You know Allie Uchida is a journalist because she was actually investigating the Hellfire.
Oh, I know she's a journalist because I read her articles. They're pretty good. But yeah, personally, I know her because she's been hanging around my bar.
Right, like you told us earlier, in the weeks leading up to July 20th, you saw Allie Uchida at the bar on numerous occasions, right?
Yeah, she was always coming in, talking to our regulars, talking to our staff, kind of giving them a hard time, asking them about drugs, asking them about the violence, all this stuff that they didn't really know much about.
And ma'am, that bothered.
Well, of course, I don't know if you've ever tried to run a business while somebody's sitting next to your customer saying, what do you know about drugs? What do you know about this? It doesn't go very well.
Man, it was also bad press for you.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, like I said, it's scaring off the customer.
Ma'am, you believe that bad press from Allie Uchida ruined your business's momentum.
Definitely. Like I said, I had just done this big refurbish thing, new bar, new this, new that. When Allie came in, I thought she was gonna do a write-up, a review, new bar, open in town. But no, she's harassing my customers, my employees.
And ma'am, as a result, you believe that Allie Uchida lost the Hellfire Lounge sponsors.
I mean, it's definitely a possibility, yeah.
You believe?
Yes, sir, I believe it's a possibility.
You believe that you got permits revoked for future nightclubs you were trying to get because of Allie Uchida's bad press.
Well, yeah, They wanted to see how Hellfire turned out before we turned franchise. The bad press was not good for business, but we were chugging along nonetheless.
Ma'am, I'm just gonna need a yes or a no. As a result of Ali Uchida's bad press, you believe you lost permits for future business.
I think so, yeah.
Ms. Rajan, you believe as a result of Ali Uchida's press that your business lost tens of thousands of dollars.
I think it's definitely a possibility. I mean, we were losing a lot of customers. They were putting down their drink mid-sip, to walk out.
So like you told us earlier, you lost your temper.
Yeah, I lost my temper. People say I have a big mouth. I've been trying to work on it, but sometimes I let things slip. My temper gets the best of me.
Ma'am, you warned Miss Uchida, stop investigating the Hellfire Lounge or face serious consequences.
I talked to Ally. I asked her to stop it with all the questioning, to stop the harassment.
Wasn't my question. You told Ali Uchida, stop investigating the Hellfire Lounge or face serious consequences, yes or no?
Yeah, absolutely. I was gonna tell the bouncers, don't let her in.
Ma'am, you told her you don't poke a bear if you don't want to lose your hand.
I told her that. I've said that before. I don't believe I told her that.
Well, ma'am, on July 20th, Miss Uchida, she continued to investigate the Hellfire Lounge.
As I told you, yes, sir, she was in the Hellfire Lounge, she was talking to people.
And you'd agree, you retaliate against your enemies.
I retaliate against my enemies?
Yes, ma'am, you'd agree. You retaliate against your enemies.
I'd like to say I practice peace. I guess in this scenario, like I said, I told her about AJ going to the police.
Ma'am, yes or no? You retaliate against your enemies.
Not always, no.
Sometimes you do, ma'am.
I believe everybody does.
And ma'am, AJ Maloney was your personal bodyguard.
He was one of my bodyguards on staff, yes.
And on July 20th, you found Ali Uchida unconscious next to AJ.
Yes, sir. After the altercation with the 3 people, I found the 2 of them unconscious.
Sprajana, I want to talk about what might be influencing your testimony today. You told us earlier that you saw Mr. Mothersbaugh with a baton. Did I get that right?
When he was doing his superhero shtick, he wore a green suit and he carried around a baton on his back.
Ma'am, you've been sitting here in trial all day, right?
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, you didn't hear Mr. Umi Darwish say that he ever saw the serpent with a baton.
No, sir. When Mr. Umi was up here, he talked about seeing the serpent run really quickly. He didn't mention the baton that he carried on his back.
Miss Nova Stone, she didn't mention the baton either.
Miss Nova, I don't believe she really mentioned the serpent at all.
Ma'am, you hired all these lawyers today. The only person telling us that Mr. Mothersbaugh carried a baton is you.
I mean, I know we still got witnesses to testify, but all I can tell you is that every time I saw the serpent, he had the baton on his back.
Ms. Rajan, what you can also tell us is that long before you brought this lawsuit against Teddy Mothersbaugh, you had history with him.
Oh, yeah, like I said, Teddy, his family owns a major corporation in the city. I used to see him pretty often, down at the country club playing tennis, all of that, but now I really don't see him.
And ma'am, your business was trying to merge with Mr. Mothersbaugh, but he keeps vetoing.
Yeah, like I said, he's not really in the board meetings anymore. We try to do the merger, and every time he messages in his vote that it's a no-go.
So ma'am, you hate Teddy Mothersbaugh.
I definitely don't like him after what he did to AJ.
Thank you, ma'am. No further questions, Your Honor.
Let me redirect.
No redirect, Your Honor. We just asked that Ms. Rajan be allowed to step down.
Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor. Defense calls Teddy Mothersbaugh. Good afternoon. Can you please introduce yourself to the members of the board?
My name's Teddy. Teddy Mothersbaugh.
Mr. Mothersbaugh, you're being sued for incapacitating AJ Maloney on July 20th. Is that what happened?
It is. But I had no other choice. I was there when AJ Maloney was brutally attacking Ali Uchida, my partner. She's a journalist, she was investigating Varma. I couldn't just stand and watch.
So what did you do?
I intervened. Stopped AJ in his tracks, ended the fight. That's why I'm here.
Let's take a step back. Where did that altercation take place?
It was at this nightclub right downtown, a few blocks from here, the Hellfire Lounge. That's where Ali and I were investigating on the night of the 20th, alleged drug trafficking.
Sir, are you with the police?
No, counselor, I'm independent. I'm a servant.
Who's the servant?
My secret identity. I know it sounds straight out of the comic book, but my parents died when I was young. I was in the car, semi-truck, went right into the alley. And I saw the men in the front seat. They go by the name of Rats.
Can you tell us about the Rats?
They're the biggest drug distributors in this part of the country. I've seen them all the time in my work. I was in the car, and my mother was running for mayor on a tough on crime platform. It's when the Rats hit.
What did you do?
I started training. Taking self-defense classes, everything from martial arts to de-escalation techniques. If I was going to expose the Rats, I had to be able to protect myself. But I had to be discreet. It's why I wore the mask, why I became a servant.
Let's talk about your work as a servant. Were you able to track down the Rats operation?
I was. I found them operating out of that nightclub we were investigating, the Hellfire Lounge. Yeah, Ali and I saw them outside wearing these work uniforms. I mean, I was living. I know the owner of that club, Emerson Roger. The Rats used to work for her parents as bodyguards.
Do you know if the Rats were now working for Miss Roger?
I can't say for sure, but that's what it looks like. One night when I was running surveillance, I saw my cousins. They were passing around these bags of powder that looked like drugs, passing to my cousin. I mean, I couldn't just stand by. I shouted, "Sammy, no!" But that's when Emerson Lejean walked outside.
Did she say anything to you?
And she started yelling at me. She said, "Get the hell off my property or you're gonna get shot." That's when she flashed a pistol.
Did you leave?
For the first time as a servant. I felt scared. Look, I know when I'm outmatched, so yeah, I left. I started running more frequent surveillance in the next few weeks when one night my cousin Sammy went into the club and didn't come out. Cop went inside the next morning, came out with a blind bag.
What happened?
When it came out, it was an overdose in the autopsy. I knew I had to trust my hunch. I had to take justice into my own hands. It's when Ali and I launched our full investigation into the club last July.
Let's talk about your investigation. How often did you visit the Hellfire Lounge?
We went there multiple times a week. That's when I learned about AJ Malone. One of Emerson Roger's bodyguards. And I learned he doesn't hesitate to pack a punch.
What do you mean?
Well, I was there one night. I saw him sniffing that powder that I saw. It was the same thing that Miss Stone was talking about earlier. He started getting real pushy with the people in line, you know, and as soon as someone talked back to him, knocked him out with a single punch.
made me sick. Mr. Mothersbaugh, did you plan to fight AJ Malone?
Absolutely not. I knew there was a risk he was gonna attack me first, so I had to be prepared, but I would never initiate the fight.
If you didn't plan to fight him, what was the plan?
Well, I had heard from one of my resources that there was a major drug shipment going to the club on the night of July 20th. That there would be a distraction from a famous celebrity, I think they said, Shakira would be there, so Ally and I, well, we decided to investigate while everyone else was distracted.
Let's talk about that. How did it start?
Ally and I got to the club pretty late. Ally had brought her phone so she could take pictures of the evidence, the drug shipment inside, while I waited outside in case anything went wrong.
Did anything go wrong?
At first. And I went down an alleyway that she and I had agreed we'd meet in case she had to escape. After a little while, I started to hear his footsteps running from the inside towards the alleyway.
What did you do?
Well, I waited behind the door until AJ slammed it open, chasing Ally into the alley. He tackled her, got on top of her, pinned her to the ground, and he took his baton and he held it over his head.
What happened next?
I couldn't let him do that. I tackled him, tried to get the baton out of his hand, but he wouldn't let go. We wrestled around on the ground. I had to get it from him, and eventually I got it out of his hands. But he just kept coming at me, trying to punch me. And I saw Ally; she was losing consciousness.
What did you do?
Oh, I didn't know what to do, and that's when AJ he launched towards me. So I swung the baton, took him out. Called 911, went with Ally to the hospital. Luckily, she's recovered well.
Mr. Mothersbaugh, been in court all day. Miss Rajan said that she saw you as the serpent carry that baton. Is that true?
No, sir. I never used the baton until the night of the crime. Mr. Darvish didn't say that. Miss Stone didn't say that when they were on the stand.
Mr. Mothersbaugh, I want to make this especially clear to the members of the jury. Why did you incapacitate AJ Maloney on July 20th?
When I saw him holding the baton over Ally's head, I knew she was in danger. I had to fight back. In that moment, the mask, the costume, none of it mattered. All that mattered was keeping Ally safe.
Thank you, Mr. Mothersbaugh. No further questions, John.
Counsel for the plaintiff, Ms. Fox.
Yes, Your Honor. All right, Mr. Mothersbaugh, I've got a few questions for you and then we'll get back to your seat, okay? I want to be clear, you keep your identities as the serpent and Teddy Mothersbaugh separate, right?
That's right, man.
So who are we talking to right now?
Man, I'm Eddie Moses.
Well, I want to start with where this lawsuit started, okay?
Sure.
You remember being notified that you were being sued.
That's right.
You remember sitting down with your attorneys to answer the complaint that was filed.
Yes, ma'am.
You remember being asked if you were the serpent, right?
That's right.
You said, no, I'm not the serpent.
During the initial filings, ma'am, it's true, but we communicated with your counselors. In fact, unfortunately.
Right, you were lying in your answer to our complaint.
In the complaint and answer, sure, ma'am, but when I was deposed for this case, I told the truth.
Right now you changed your tune, you are the serpent.
That's right, ma'am, as I stated in my deposition. That's right.
Right, it was you who attacked AJ Maloney that night, right?
I incapacitated him. Yes.
You know that for your actions to legally be justified, your force would have to be proportional to that AJ Maloney was using on Alan Lucia, right?
Well, the force that he was attempting to use on this issue, that my understanding.
You were here when Umi Darwish testified, right?
That's right.
You heard him say that, well, Allie, she seems to be doing pretty okay after the fight, right?
After the fight, sure, but when I saw AJ standing on top of her, holding the baton over his head. I don't want to think about what would have happened if I wasn't there.
Not asking you about that, I'm asking you about what Mr. Darwish said. Mr. Darwish said that Ally was totally okay after the fight, right?
Sure,
You know, that's actually what the doctor said too, right?
that's my understanding again, ma'am. I was able to protect Ally before she took any serious damage.
Right, the doctor said that Ally could be discharged immediately, right?
That's right.
Wasn't the same story for AJ Maloney though, was it?
No, ma'am. It's my understanding Mr. Maloney has been in a coma since the.
Alright, and that's consistent with what Mr. Darwish testified to as well, isn't it?
That's right.
Right, he said that AJ Maloney was unconscious when Ally was sitting up.
Yes, ma'am, but I also saw Ally going in and out of consciousness during the altercation.
You've read the medical report for AJ Maloney, right?
I have.
And you know that he was way worse off than Ally was.
That's right, ma'am. I was able to protect Ally from major attacks.
Right, so to be clear, you were the one who left AJ Maloney in that condition, right?
That's right, ma'am. Protecting her.
You intended to end that fight with you being the last one standing, didn't you?
That's right. I don't think anyone goes into a fight hoping they go down.
You hit him with this.
After I wrestled it from AJ's hands, that's right.
You broke his ribs,
Yes, ma'am.
broke his arms,
That's true.
his clavicle.
That's right, ma'am. I had to stop his attacks.
You dislocated his shoulder, didn't you?
That was also one of the injuries.
You didn't stop there.
Ma'am, I attacked him until he was unconscious. I had to protect Ally, so she wouldn't get hurt.
You know who caused a hemorrhage in AJ Maloney's brain, right?
Again, ma'am, that's my understanding. I've reviewed the medical report.
As a result of your actions, AJ Maloney is still in that hospital bed just down the street.
I did what I had to do.
That's what you had to do?
Yes, ma'am.
You have anger issues, don't you?
I have had
Is it your testimony that you no longer have anger issues?
getting help for it, ma'am.
And you were pissed off the night in question, weren't you?
That's right. I saw a large man standing on top of my heart. Of course I was pissed off.
Right, you found it hard to control yourself, didn't you?
Absolutely. He was holding a baton over his head. Let us slam it down on him.
Right, you're pretty dedicated to righting the wrongs in this city, aren't you?
I would say so.
You take your vision of justice very seriously.
Yes, ma'am.
Everything is black and white to you, isn't it? Good, bad.
Well, it depends, ma'am.
Well, let's take an example. You don't know AJ Maloney personally, do you?
That's right.
In fact, you've never met him up until the night in question, right?
I don't know if I'd say I've ever met him, ma'am. I've actually been following him for me and Allie's work on the nightclub.
Well, we'll get to that in a minute, but you never talked to him personally, did you?
Never spoke to him. Sure.
You knew his boss though, right?
That's right.
You knew the type of person that AJ Maloney worked for, and for you, that was enough.
Sure, ma'am, especially after using the drugs. It became clear.
Right, it became clear, so you incapacitated him.
No, ma'am, I incapacitated him in defense of my heart.
Okay, so not a thought. I want to be clear about your backstory. Your parents were wealthy enough that you don't have to work, right?
That's right. I got lucky.
So instead of working a 9 to 5 or doing nonprofit work, you spend your days attacking people.
It's not true, ma'am.
You've attacked people before, haven't you?
Well, sure, when I needed to.
Right, you beat up a cop about a year ago.
Objection, Your Honor, carried.
Go ahead.
Your Honor, opposing counsel is using this past action to imply conformity therewith on the night of July 20th. That's inadmissible character.
You respond, Your Honor. We're not using this to prove that he incapacitated AJ Maloney on the night of July 20th because that's a fact already agreed to.
Response, Your Honor? Your Honor, the entire contention in today's trial, whether that action on July 20th was in defense or was aggressive. Opposing counsel is using this past action, trying to imply that if Mr. Maloney was aggressive against a cop a year ago, he must have been aggressive against AJ Maloney on this night. That's character.
There's one. Oh, again, we're not using it for that purpose. This goes towards the credibility of this witness and nothing else. We understand that Mr. Mothersbaugh was violent on the night of July 20th of last year. Not only stipulated to, it's been discussed time and time again throughout this trial. Simply not in contention. We couldn't use this to prove that in the trial.
I'm gonna overrule the objection.
Yes, sir.
You attacked a cop about a year ago, didn't you?
That's right, ma'am, the same one that
You,
Pulled my cousin out of the club in the body bag. Trying to get rid of the evidence. I couldn't let that happen.
you broke his arms, the cop.
That's right, ma'am. I needed to.
Right, you say you had to do it.
Yes, ma'am?
Justice never rests and neither do you. Do I have that right?
Sure, if you want to put it like that.
I'm not asking you how I put it, I'm asking you how you put it.
Sure,
You put it that way?
sure.
You'll keep going with your vigilante work, I mean, as long as you can, right?
That's right, ma'am. The police aren't gonna protect this city. Someone has to.
Right, because you'll resort to what others want, right?
I'm not sure what you mean.
I'm asking you about your words, once again, Mr. Motherfucker. You'll resort to what others won't.
In defense of others, absolutely. I'll always be an upstander.
I wanna talk a little bit more about AJ Maloney, because like you mentioned before, you have been following him around for weeks, right?
Yes, ma'am. Well, Ally and I were looking into the drug trafficking operation out of the nightclub. Mr. Maloney was one of the individuals we identified.
Or you were stalking him, taking pictures.
We were following him, ma'am, conducting surveillance.
Mr. Mothersbaugh, I wanna be clear about something. You want to believe that you're telling the truth here on that stand today, right?
Absolutely, ma'am. Everything I've said has been the full truth.
You'd lie for what you consider to be the greater good, wouldn't you?
Outside of the court of law, ma'am, that's true.
You don't make that clarification when you previously made that statement, do you, Mr. Mothersbaugh?
Well, ma'am, my statement is that I would lie for justice outside of the courts, outside of the court.
Actually, your statement was, I'd lie for what I consider to be the greater good. Do I have that right?
When I was deposed, ma'am, that's right.
And even now, even after everything that you put AJ Maloney through, you think it would be for the greater good if you won this trial?
Absolutely. I protected someone that evening on July 20th. I hope I get the opportunity to protect more witnesses.
I'm sorry, Richmond.
That's all my questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Can you redirect?
Is that a time check, please?
Yes, you have 30 seconds.
That's fine. Mr. Mothersbaugh, can you tell us why and how you used that baton on the night of July 20th?
I saw AJ Maloney standing over my partner, Ally, with the baton in his hands, a baton I'd never seen before in my life. He was about to swing it down on her. I took it out of his hands. Protected Ally. Stop the fight.
Thank you, Mr. Mothersbaugh. No further questions, Your Honor.
And there are no further witnesses, I assume?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Whenever the parties are ready for your closing.
There's actually gonna be no closings in this trial.
We'll just do it. We'll do our voting.
Normally the
You guys give me the heads up when you're done.